Welcome to Intermediate Accounting. This is the income statement, so we're going to be working on things related to the income statement. And this particular question is a multiple choice question that's asking us about income tax expense. So we'll be working on calculating income tax. So let's first read our multiple choice question. Bluefin Company had a 35% tax rate. Given the following pre-tax amounts, what would be the income tax expense reported on the face of the income statement? So that's what it's asking us. What is the income tax expense that's reported on the face of the income statement? Well, first let's look at an income statement so we can figure out what is going to be included in the calculation of income tax expense. Now, there's different categories on the income statement. This is a multi-step income statement, so it'll have the sales. Sales is the sales revenue less the returns and allowances and the discounts, and that gives us our net sales. Our next section is our cost of goods sold. We deduct that, we get our gross profit. Then we have our operating expenses, and this gives us our income from continuing operations. So that is the income we generated doing our day-to-day operations. So if we were a retailer and selling things, our retail sales generated that income. Next, we have other things that happen in our business, but they're not our main business. So we had some interest revenue, right? We're not a bank, we're a retailer. So while we did earn some interest revenue, that is not our core business. Likewise, on the expense side, we paid some interest expense, not our core business, but it is a part of our business, so we break that into the other section. And then we have our loss from earthquake damage. This is something that happened, but it doesn't happen every day, so we put it in the other. So that we have 210,000 of other expenses, 86,000 of other revenue. We net them against each other and we get a $149,000. I'm sorry, once we net them against each other, we subtract that from continuing operations, and then we get our 149,000. That is income before income tax. This is the number that we use when we calculate our income tax. We take that, we multiply it by whatever our tax rate is, we get our income tax expense, and this gives us our income from continuing operations. Then we'll have other items such as discontinued operations, and then we'll have our net income. These items are shown net of tax, so the number we're looking for is this income before income tax, so we can calculate our income tax expense. All right, so let's go through, and we're going to code anything that is going to get included in that income from continuing operations. We're going to put a big I next to it, and then we'll add them or subtract. We'll put a plus or a minus so that we know if we are going to add them or not. So sales revenue, absolutely, that's income from continuing operations, and that is a plus. Cost of goods sold, absolutely, that's from income from continuing operations, but that's a reduction because that's a cost. Likewise, sales, salaries and wage expense, that is income from continuing operations, it's a reduction. Same thing with depreciation expense. Dividend revenue, that would go in the other section, but it's still a component of the income from operations, and that's a plus. Then next we have our insurance expense. We're going to code that as income from continuing operations. Since it's an expense, it's a reduction. Discontinued operations loss, that is not our normal, our income from continuing operations, so I'm going to put an X here. And then interest expense is, and that's a reduction. So I'm going to add those all up, and when I do, I get $445,400. And this is my income from operations. Okay? So that's all the I's and whether it's a plus or a minus. Now it says here that we have a 35% income tax rate. So I'm going to multiply that by 35%. Once I do that, I get $155,890. And that is answer A. $155,890. That is our income tax that's reported on the face of the income statement. I hope that makes sense.